It's 2018, I'm 18 years old and I'm having my big wake up moment. I realised that until that point, life was happening to me. I find myself at university, destined to work a job. Everything's unfolding as it should, except I realise I've never even asked myself if I want to work a job. What if I don't want to? What happens then? I've never even asked myself these questions, and I realised that I don't have to flow down the river of life anymore. There's another way if I want it, and in fact, I realised that I actually didn't want to have a job. And that is when I met failure for the first time. Because I read this book called The Slight Edge, and it's the first self-development book I've ever read. And that book talks about the little actions you do during your day that really add up to change the trajectory of your life. This book makes me realize just how many times I've failed today. I failed to keep my body healthy. I failed to wake up at a reasonable time. I failed to focus on the work that I wanted to focus on. And I remember just how this failure made me feel. It's not a very good feeling. It's almost like this feeling of urgency and dissatisfaction. Across the coming years, I'd get to know this feeling very well, because on that day, I entered the wantrepreneur stage. Essentially the stage where you want to be an entrepreneur, but you don't really do anything about it. You see, I still had years before university finished and I would have had to get a job. So for hundreds of days, I failed to motivate myself to sit at my desk and do some work. I would just play games or watch a film with this feeling of failure in the back of my mind. But on the days that I did manage to motivate myself, I spent 6 months learning to make Android apps and failed to do anything about it. I failed to even start making it into a business. I failed to start web development, like making websites, even though I spent over a year learning about it. And I spent a lot of time just learning things and failing to start anything in the first place. But now the situation was getting urgent because I had 1 year left. So I actually started taking some action. When I get the idea to start a YouTube channel, for 21 days, I failed to even get the courage to post anything. And I actually recorded my first video and I failed to even finish recording it because of how I was coming across. I just really didn't feel confident. And actually, during this initial YouTube stage, I also started making a browser game that I was sure was going to be the next big thing that everyone was going to be playing, and I was going to make loads of money from the adverts, but I failed to finish it after working on it for 2 months. Eventually, I start my YouTube channel and I want to get views at this time. That was my metric for success. And even though I show up for 100 days in a row, I failed to even get 1 subscriber during that time. Some days, the shame from failure overwhelms me. Maybe that decision I made 4 years ago wasn't very smart. Maybe it's better to just forget about this failure thing altogether and start applying for jobs. Failing hurts pretty bad, and now it's getting quite strong. But then I get my first taste of what failure really is, because my channel starts getting traction. And it's because I made one video that happened to hit the algorithm and it became the catalyst to my channel growing even further. But at the time, I don't realize what the past 4 years of failures have done to make this happen. I just assumed that if I made this video from day one, I would have succeeded and I could have avoided all of that failure and, you know, the feeling of dissatisfaction from that. I didn't pay any attention to the 4 years it took before I got a stroke of luck and made my first dollar online. And in fact, I started making enough to go full time. Hello, I'm Brian, and I made this channel to help ambitious people like you make money online so they don't have to work a job. If you want my personal help with this, you can check the link out in the description. Since that time I started making money, I've met failure many more times in my life. I still meet it every day, except I slowly started realizing what failure really is. Before I made my first dollar on this channel, I failed to see the direction that I wanted to take it in, and I used $3,000 on video editing that I didn't have to use. I failed at making 40 videos which didn't make me any money, and I showed up and failed for 70 days in a row before I made my first dollar. Before I had a physique, a body I was proud of, I failed thousands of sets at the gym. I showed up for a session at the gym 150 times, then I quit, started a few years later, and showed up another 1,000 times. I failed to adequately prepare and protect myself and injured myself 4 times. And I logged what I ate every single day for 1,200 days, 1,200 days. During all of those thousands of failures, I looked at my results and I saw that I didn't have what I want yet. Can you see now that the journey that you're going on is paved in failure? You need to get really good at just failing at something and not letting it faze you. Just be like, yep, that's what's happening. I'm going to try again tomorrow. And actually, the way to succeed the fastest is to go and find the failure that would discourage the average person the most. Remember, you're an ambitious person, so stuff doesn't faze you as easily as the average person. And go fail at that big thing as quickly as possible, because that gives you the biggest clues as to where to go next. Failure shouldn't be a loss of hope, because every time you fail, you get a secret reward, and that is clarity on what to try next. Failure is just a price for leading this life, the life we all want to live on this channel because we're ambitious people. People will see the success you have, but they won't see the price you paid for it. So when you set yourself goals, never forget that they have a price, and that price is thousands of failures. Be prepared for this from the very beginning, because then you won't get discouraged, and when it gets really difficult, because it will, you're going to keep going. So go fail today, because you're one step closer to succeeding. If you want my personal help with making money online, you can check the link out in the description. See you next video.